next morning, after a calm night of unbroken sunshine, I take my first faltering steps in the art of Antarctic survival. The first thing I learn is that here in this ice desert, even the most mundane human tasks take on an epic quality.
That is the most extraordinary view from any lavatory anywhere in the world. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm probably the only person sitting on the toilet for the next 1,000 miles. Well, it doesn't matter there's no roof on it. I'd like to spend my whole life here. Trouble is, it's bloody cold. You can't really hang around on these things. Interesting fact is that all human waste has to be removed from Antarctica. You're not allowed to leave anything here. So anything I may pass today will be air freighted out to Chile, where it's made into models and sold. The duty-free shop there. Makes you think. Better be a good one.
The Patriot Hills base is a unique gateway, distributing adventurers to every part of Antarctica. Shinji Kazama from Japan hopes to be the first person to reach the South Pole by motorbike. He's already ridden to the North Pole and halfway up Everest. He's accompanied by that indispensable aid to 20th century travel, a camera crew. While Kazama tests the snow surface, the doctors, dentists and accountants of Australia and New Zealand prepare to be airlifted out to Mount Vinson. One of their leaders is Peter Hillary, son of Sir Edmund Hillary, one of the first 2 men to climb Everest.
But just the actual logistics of an expedition like this, I mean, like catering. Give us a day's menu, what it might be like.
Oh, it's a sumptuous variety of porridge in the morning and crackers for lunch and rice for dinner. I mean, doesn't that really sound a cordon bleu meal?
How do you get people to sign up for this expedition?
Well, I haven't told them about the menu yet.
Can I just ask on a personal level, you come from a illustrious sort of climbing background. Your father was the first man up Everest. What was it like when you were young? Were you given any option but to become interested in climbing, or?
Well, I think if anything, Dad really almost discouraged us from going to the mountains, certainly to climb. We went there skiing and things like that. So he really didn't particularly want any of his children to get into mountaineering. But I guess it's like, say, if you're brought up in a cricket family, you have a famous cricketer popping around every so often and asks the young myself, Peter, if he wants to go and sort of throw a ball around in the backyard, and it's a very infectious situation.
You weren't given crampons in your Christmas stocking at the age of 3, or?
No, but I soon located where Dad kept all his, so I had no problem with equipment.
Yeah.
While the climbers board their plane, those of us left behind are served the sort of meal which Peter Hillary's party won't see for at least 2 weeks.
Spaghetti!
Over a glass of Chilean wine, we compare our crazy schemes.
What is so special about the bike that you're using? What's different about it?
What's different? The normal one?
Yeah.
どんなものが違う? No pollution?
No pollution?
No noise?
Why is there no pollution? If you've got an engine, surely the exhaust must...
Like those, yeah, special things is on it.
They are low pollution,
Yeah.
low noise.
Low noise? And what else?
Wide tire and white color.
Oh, what? White colour, so then no one will be able to see you against the snow.
You'll disappear.
A non-serious question. You've been to the North Pole and the South Pole, and you've even driven your bike up Everest. What is there left to do next?
次に残されてるものは
何
次に残されてるものは
Ah, yes, I have. Moon.
Moon. You're going to motorcycle on the moon.
Yes.
You're going to have to go very fast to get the leap off there.
By 6. Jump.
Looking round the table, you can tell the regulars from the visitors. The regulars have given up shaving.
First time is done. Antarctica. First time.
Yeah.
But even the regulars aren't out here for long. The Antarctic summer lasts about 4 months. For the rest of the year, it's dark and intensely cold. There's no option then but to abandon the base. As head of operations Mike Sharp explains.
We just take the whole thing down, pack it all in boxes, and slide it into a snow cave. It's about 4 feet underground at the moment. It's just one big massive room which we have to dig out.
What happens to the planes?
Well, 2 of the aircraft go back north. They go all the way back up to Canada, and the third one's a Cessna, which we should keep here. And we just dig a big hole for it and bury it. The only thing that's sticking out is the tail. We cover it in boards and planks and canvas things. It's very good. It's very successful. We'd actually take the skis and the legs off and lower it onto a sled to slide it into this monster hole. And then when we come back the next year, we just drag it back out again, put the skis on, and away we go. And it gets its certificate of airworthiness as soon as it comes out. We have an engineer in to check it and make sure everything's okay, and then we're away again.
Last season they weren't so lucky. An oil drum driven by the bitingly strong winds took the tail off one of the planes. A replacement just flown in is being fitted by Bill Alikuk, a man of the Arctic.
Major surgery. How long have you been down in the Antarctic?
I've been down here since the 15th of November here at Patriot Hills, and actually this is the first time I've been to the Antarctic, and I'm proud to say I'm probably the first Eskimo that's ever been down here, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Show him how to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Eh?
Do you remember anything of igloo life yourself? I mean, were they still around when you were a kid?
Well, I don't remember. I know how to build them. In fact, I can say, I guess, is that I was probably one of the last few that was ever born in an igloo. Yeah.
Well, you can finish the lavatory to put a roof on it. Someone started there.
Well,
Is that your work?
No, that isn't mine. I would never have air conditioning.
Word is that if the weather holds, we could be going to the pole tomorrow. There's just time to ring home.
Okay. Hello, Helen. Can you hear me? Well, if you can hear me, that's fine. All I get from you is a noise, a rather strange bird-like noise, but if that's your reply, that's great. I just rang to say that I'm in the Patriot Hills in Antarctica, 600 miles from the pole. Are you impressed? Definitely, very impressed. I was always one at pulling the birds. Well, it's just to say that we're going to the pole tomorrow afternoon. We're leaving here about 5, and we'll be staying there maybe 36, 48 hours. Over? Yes, I have got clean underwear. Love, the thing is that I really can't hear your voice very well, so I'll just carry on and tell you the salient information. It's very nice down here at Patriot Hills. The sun is shining. It's about sort of minus 8 degrees. It'll be about minus 25 at the pole. I'm a bit worried as I only have one set of thermal underwear, but apart from that, I hope I will do the family proud. How are you? Are you? Well, I think you should try using the other one. Well, it's now about 6:30 on the day we're due to leave for the pole, and as you can probably hear, the wind, which we haven't heard recently, suddenly got up, and it sounds very much as though weather could be changing out there, and I wonder whether it'll affect our chances of leaving today. So I suppose we're going to find out what's going on.
With the wind comes a vicious drop in temperature. But what's important is not how conditions are here, but how they are at the pole. Mike Sharp calls up the American base there.
Yeah, South Pole, Patriot Hills. How is your present weather over?
It may sound like Marconi's first broadcast, but this is a voice from the pole itself. I just pray that whatever he's saying, it's good news. It is. High pressure over the pole, and as the wind suddenly drops, there's nothing more to keep us here. First to take advantage of the improvement is Kazama, with a message he hopes to nail to the pole, though he doesn't quite know what it says.
I can read it.
His backup team works almost casually. They could be planning a trip to the supermarket instead of a month on the ice. As if saying goodbye might be tempting fate, there's little ceremony as Kazama and his team ride off into the never-setting sun. Their departure makes my feet even itchier, but it's late in the afternoon before our turn comes to load up. This tiny plane will be carrying 7 people, fuel drums and survival equipment. It's a single-engined Otter of 1950s design, and this is the single engine that will take us to the pole. I seek a little reassurance from our pilot, Dan Baldwin.
Well, Dan, we're in your hands now. Have you a message of hope for us?
Oh, yes, the weather looks good towards the pole. Shouldn't have any problem. Got a little wind there, blowing snow, but otherwise, looks like it's going to be a good trip.
Have you been to the pole often?
Never been there.
You've never been there?
No.
Ah.
So it's a first for both of us.
You know the way?
I'm from the north. I'm not from down south here. I just come down south for the winter
Yeah.
to enjoy the nice weather.
And this aircraft must be a veteran of polar flight, so is it?
No, this will be the first trip for turbine otter, single-engine turbine otter, to the pole.
So the plane's never been to the pole.
Plane's never
You've
been
never
there.
been to the pole. We've never been to the pole.
Well, I can just land you anywhere and you won't know the difference then, will you?
Well, we're all in it together. It's not a wheeled aircraft, this. What are we landing on?
We're landing on skis.
Are those trickier than wheels?
No, not so much. Just whether it would be wheel skis or floats, they're all a little different, but there's not much difference in landing.
Okay, well, if you're optimistic, I bet you're raring to go, are you?
I'm raring to go.
Okay, so here goes.
So this is it, the last leg. I ought to feel confident, elated even, but I know from the Arctic that at the extremes of the Earth, happy endings can never be taken for granted. Rudy Driscoll, the company's other customer, only took up adventures like this in his 50s.
don't know how they did it without sunglasses.
Now the base mountain range of the blue ice field, like a sort of little lake attached to the bottom of the mountain. Would you rather be doing it on skis, Rudy?
Oh, frankly, I think this is a bit nicer.
I wouldn't even like to cross that on a motorcycle. It's just such an expanse of white. I mean, I can't imagine how you could do it without getting totally disoriented.
Yeah. No real landmarks around except for an occasional mountain.
It makes you think how resourceful the early explorers were when they didn't really have navigation satellites or anything like that, electronics, radios. They found their way across that sea of emptiness.
At the heart of Antarctica is a polar plateau with an average height of 10,000 feet and an average annual temperature of minus 50 centigrade. It's a 5-hour flight, but there's not much time to sleep. Halfway through, we must stop and refuel. First, we have to find the fuel. A chart gives a rough position, but the precise location is marked by a bamboo pole. Dan has never been here before, nor has his co-pilot, Scott, who, it turns out, is not a pilot at all, but a doctor. Dan goes down for a closer look. No one seems to mention what happens if we don't find it. After a few abortive passes, Dan catches sight of something. We've put down at a remote spot called King's Peak. No sooner have we squeezed ourselves off the plane than we're put to work erecting a tent.
Thanks, Michael.
Scott the doctor supervises Rudy and myself. It is bitterly cold.
The main thing here is to hang on to anything that might blow, because
Yeah,
it'll be a long walk to Patriot Hill to get it.
Blows back home, does it, automatically?
Yeah.
Return to sender. It's difficult to grip anything with these mittens on, isn't it?
I'm just going to pin out one corner. Okay.
Holding my end up.
As we continue our passable imitation of Laurel and Hardy, Dan digs for aviation fuel. The pump works and the Otter's tank fills with what we hope will be enough to see us to the pole.
Get her?
What seems like several hours later, we have the tent up. Only then does it become apparent why we've had to put it up in the first place. Dan is leaving us here while he flies 50 miles away to drop fuel for Kazama's motorbike expedition. Watching him disappear over the mountain fills me with foreboding. I don't think I've ever had such an acute sense of being nowhere. In our nylon igloo, Scott tries to cheer us up with tales of savage weather and people being trapped for days. At last there comes the sound we've been waiting for. Watching Dan approach is one of the most comforting sights I've seen. Watching him land is one of the most terrifying. We take the tent down again, and after one last weather check, Dan sets course for the pole. These are difficult conditions in an unpressurized cabin. We're at the equivalent of 15,000 feet above sea level. Rudy especially is finding breathing hard in the thin air. Scott administers oxygen. Slowly and uncomfortably, we draw nearer to the pole.
South Pole, 58 Juliet Hotel, do you copy, over? 58 Juliet Hotel, South Pole. Roger, we're about 15 minutes out inbound. How's your weather? I have a couple of pieces of information for you. When you land on the skiway, you'll see a number 9 marker and recommend to pull off well off the runway and park the plane there. How copy? Yeah, you're coming in 5 square there. Roger that, and I've got one more little piece of information here. There is no certified runway or airfield available, and the U.S. government cannot authorize a landing. How copy? Roger, we copy that. Okay, have a good landing.
So we're brought down to Earth. The goal of our 5.5-month journey is within our grasp, but the radio conversation with the base is a reminder of an awkward truth. No one really wants us here.
Well, here it is. We've landed at the South Pole, or at least tantalizing close. The only thing is I don't quite know where the pole is. So I'd better go and ask.
This is definitely not what I expected. It's a cross between the moon and a marshalling yard in the Midwest. I see domes and aerials and dishes and pylons, but I see no pole. How ironic it is that at the center of the world's most unspoilt wilderness, the needs of science have created a building site. But where's the pole? Perhaps it's kept indoors to stop it getting knocked over by bulldozers. Only one way to find out. This is the heart of the Amundsen-Scott South Pole Station, established by the Americans 35 years ago. It's an extraordinary feat, proving that even at the most inhospitable place on Earth, life as we know it can survive. Outside, the temperature is 30 below. In here, they can wear Bermuda shorts and eat chili and blueberry pie. This summer, there's a record number of 120 scientists working here. One of them must know where the pole is. Well, now I know where it is, but not which one it is. Surely this can't be it, all gaudy like a fairground attraction. Thankfully not. This is what they call the ceremonial pole. Politicians who get this far like to be photographed here. At last I see it. And at last I'm on the point of joining the select ranks of those who have done what Scott and Amundsen never did, stand on both poles.
At this point, all the world's lines of longitude converge on my toe caps. It's impossible to go further south than this. Every direction you go in will be north. At this point, I can actually walk right around the world in 8 seconds, as I will now demonstrate. It is the end of the world. It's also the end of our harebrained migration from north to south. I think the omens are telling us to stop. Just a while ago, the camera packed up because of the cold, and as you can tell, I'm beginning to pack up because of the cold too. It's minus 30 degrees centigrade here. With wind chill, that's about minus 50. We're also at an elevation of 9,000 feet, so there's altitude sickness to combat. But I think it's just that after 5.5 months on the road, the body is finally saying, pack it in.
When I was a boy in Sheffield, I dreamed of coming here, like my heroes Scott and Amundsen. Now I am here, I want to celebrate. But it's not that easy. The US government doesn't encourage hospitality. While the scientists snuggle under warm blankets, we spend a bitter night, 4 to a tent. But I can think of no more fitting end to our pole-to-pole journey than to say, I'm glad we did it this way.
And as one journey ends, another one begins. You can watch Michael Palin go full circle do-ride away.